The fifth time we see Moses going up and down the mountain is in chapter 24 of Exodus, verse 13. And Moses rose up, and his minister Joshua and Moses went up into the mount. This is all the way up into the mount. This part right here, from 9 through 13, is when they're on a plateau. If you remember Penny Caldwell talking about the mountain goes up to a plateau where the 70 elders went. And then there's smoke and fire up here. This is that spot here. At the beginning of chapter 24, this is the ending of all the laws that Moses heard on his fourth up and down. All the laws concerning no silver or gold gods, an earthen altar. Here we have it, chapter 20, at the end of his third time coming up and down. God the Father speaks his 10 commandments. And then we see as he goes up on his fourth time, he gets all of these commandments concerning the silver or gold gods, the earthen altars, no tool. If you make a stone altar, no tool should be made on it, no steps, unless you see their nakedness. Chapter 21, it continues, the Hebrew servants, death to killers, if you smite your mother and father, you shall be killed. Chapter 22, we get over, this is all on smiting, chapter 21. Chapter 22, we get over to stealing, borrowing, don't suffer a witch to live, don't lie with a beast, don't vex or oppress a stranger, all the way over to chapter 23, the false prophet. We're given what to do on the seventh year Sabbath. Give the land a rest. The weekly Sabbath is gone over with. Take note on this weekly Sabbath. It says, 6 days shalt thou do thy work. So if you are forced to work on a Saturday, you're going to have to just make sure that you don't work 7 days in a row. In my opinion, you can work 6 days in a row, just have to do a Sabbath on a Sunday if you work Saturday, but you're not changing it for everybody. You're just accommodating yourself. 3 times, have a feast. Keep the unleavened bread. Do you see Passover in here? Passover is not in here. They haven't broken the covenant yet. This is just the covenant words that Yahovah is speaking. The feast. Don't see the kid in his. I send an angel before you. Your enemies are going to fall, and bounds are going to be set. And when you come back and hear chapter 24, and Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh is telling Moses, come back with Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and 70 of the elders. He's saying, come back. This is the end of the fourth. And Moses came and told people all the words. That's the fourth time down the mountain. He's been up and down 4 times. So Moses comes through here. He writes the words of the Lord, rose up early in the morning, built an altar, 12 pillars. He sent young men to do the sacrifice of the oxen. He took half the blood, put it on in basins, and half he sprinkled on the altar. He took the book of the covenant, read it. This covenant that we just spoke of, all these words that we just read, he took that and he sprinkled the other half on the covenant, and they all agreed. We will do everything concerning all these words. And then he, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and the 70 elders, as commanded back here at the end of his 4th trip, are going to head back up. This is the start of their 5th trip, but they're just going to a plateau. And they saw the God of Israel, and there was under his feet, as it were, a paved work of sapphire stone, and it were the body of heaven in its clearness. These are all on a plateau. They're having supper and seeing God. And the Lord said, come up to me into the mount and be there. Give you stone tablets, commandments, which I have written, that you can teach them. And Moses rose up and his minister Joshua and went up into the mount. This is the beginning of the 5th time that they're going to go up into the mount. And he even tells the elders, stay here for a while, you, her, all these guys, stay here. And he went up into the mountain, and the cloud covered the mount. And the glory of the Lord abode upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days, and the seventh he called unto Moses out of the midst of the cloud. So what he's doing is, he's leaving this area, he's going up to the cloud, this cloud section here, but then he's going to go up, he's there for 7 days, and then he's going to go up to the fire part. Okay, but he's here for 6 and 7 days. 7 days he's here, 33 days he's here, for a total of 40. And you can tell your evolutionary friends that he went, supped with all the elders, went up into the clouds for 7 days, and on the first day, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the evening and the morning were the first day, and the evening and the morning were the second day, and the evening and the morning were the third day. You can tell your evolutionary friends this is just what happens at the beginning of Genesis, that these are the 7 days that Moses was seeing a film, maybe as you would call it, of how the earth was made and how man was made. I personally don't believe that. But yeah, he was up there for 33 days, 7 days, for a total of 40 days. He even told them, tell the elders to kick back. And the glory of Mount Sinai and the sight of the... Oh, this is just amazing stuff. Of the glory, the delivering the fire on top of the mount, and Moses went into the midst of the cloud and gat him up into the mount, and Moses was in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. Yes, just like we showed here, 7 days in the clouds, 33 days in the fire, in the furnace. And what does he do right away? Speak unto the children that they may bring an offering of every man that willing in his heart. And he describes for chapter after chapter after chapter the wilderness tabernacle. It is not until, here we are, 27, Exodus 28, Exodus 29, we're still talking about the wilderness tabernacle, all the furniture, how to anoint the priests, how to make their vestures, how the table of shewbread, everything. And finally he says to Moses, get thee down, for the people which thou brought out of the land have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them, and they have made them a molten calf. This is not only in the Ten Commandments shouted down, but it's in the blood covenant that they all agreed to, not to make a molten calf. And so we see at the end, and Moses turned and went down from the mount. This is where, after God gave him the 2 tables, he says, get thee down, the people are already sinning. So at the end of 32:15 is the 5th time that Moses was up and down the mount.